Hey everybody, welcome back. We had a couple of technical difficulties, but we bounced back and we're rebooting our San Jose Weekly Live. Our topic this week is, does a SSL certificate help boost SEO rankings? With me is Brian from Mouse Mechanic and Ryan from Visualize Digital. Brian, why don't you introduce yourself and your company, 30-second little speech.
Okay, my name is Brian. I am the owner of mousemechanic.com, where we offer free website repairs to folks who just want to get simple stuff to major stuff done on their website when they don't know who to talk to, where to go, and want a reliable source. So you can go to mousemechanic.com and get yourself a widget for some free time to get some free repairs done to give us a try. So that's mousemechanic.com.
Awesome. And Ryan, go ahead and introduce yourself and your company.
My name is Ryan McBride. I'm with Visualize Digital. We are a web solutions company. We do website design, development, internet marketing, search engine optimization, you name it, we can help you out.
Awesome, guys. And of course, this is Matt McGlody of Online Advantages. We handle all that internet marketing stuff. We oftentimes collaborate with the best in the business, and I've got two of them right here. So let's get started. So a few months ago, last August, Google came out with an announcement that getting a security certificate for your site would help boost rankings. So we're going to kind of explore that. It'll be a fast 5-minute discussion. Let me bounce into the first question. Well, let's first, what is an SSL certificate? Basically, it's a small data file that digitally binds a cryptographic key to an organization's details. When installed on a web server, it activates a padlock and an HTTPS protocol and allows secure connections from a web server to a browser. Brian, I know you have experience with e-commerce, so what the heck does that mean?
So essentially what an SSL certificate is it lets somebody who's surfing to the web page know that they're actually going to the site that they think they are. Okay, and from a technical aspect is what it basically says is that when you go to abc.com, you're securely letting folks know that the server that you're going to is actually abc.com. And what it also does is when you're sending information over a simple web form or other sort of transactions through the site, that it's successfully being encrypted, so your data isn't being snooped by an outsider.
Man-in-the-middle attacks.
I'm sorry?
So it prevents man-in-the-middle attacks.
That's exactly right, yes.
And Ryan, why don't you jump on that? So building on what Brian just said, man-in-the-middle attacks, and why would a normal site like Online Advantages get, other than the SEO boost, allegedly, that Google states, what's the advantage of getting one?
Well, I mean, it's just required for a lot of stuff. You know, for PCI compliance, anything that's sensitive, you know, you're going to need an SSL certificate. You're going to need to encrypt all of your data.
So basically, going forward, getting a certificate that costs $50 to $60 a year is basically well worth it.
Absolutely. But I mean, typically, I mean, it all depends on, you know, you definitely need an SSL certificate. I actually have been installing Cloudflare is doing their universal SSL certificate. So even if if you don't need to process credit card data or have any sensitive information that you need to protect, their universal SSL is also a great free alternative.
Awesome. So I think we just touched on why you should get a certificate even if you don't have a e-commerce site, which typically were kind of the sites that you would get historically. So back in August of 2014, Search Engine Land reported that Google announced that getting a certificate will boost your rankings. So me personally, we've had our site redone to mobile responsive and also added a certificate, but for my clients and for me, I have not seen that huge bounce. Brian, have you seen anything with getting that certificate?
Well, for the purpose of this this call, I'll actually defer to Ryan on that.
Sure.
Brian?
Yeah, I've definitely seen a huge advantage. To give you an example, so here's a way of quantifying it. Are you familiar with Majestic?
Yes.
So Majestic gives you a trust flow and a citation flow. When I first built my website, I didn't have an SSL certificate, and all the backlinks that I was building to my website, were just regular HTTP. So when I switched to an HTTPS, protocol and started building only a few backlinks, if I was to look at my trust flow and my citation flow, the score was a lot higher when it was to an HTTPS version of my website.
So basically, you were doing the same amount of work, but you were noticing almost
Exactly.
a big boost in the actual SEO benefits on the back end.
Exactly.
There you go, folks. So there's a couple of opinions. Me personally, uh, I haven't seen it, but what Ryan just stated is right on the money. Um, so we let's go to the next slide here. So example of a secure site, we use my site, Online Advantages. We just recently revamped everything, and also we added a security certificate to it. I know Ryan's been working with me a little bit. We found some errors. Do you want to touch on some of those errors, Ryan? And would they be pretty common for when you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
add
So
certificate?
whenever you're switching to an HTTPS protocol, you need to have all of the elements on your website. All of the images, any scripts, CSS files, they all need to be linked to the HTTPS version of your site. So if you're on the HTTPS version of your site and those elements aren't being loaded securely, then it's not a truly secure connection. So when you do that, or when you don't, make sure that everything is loading the HTTPS version, the little green lock icon in your browser window will actually not show it as locked because it's not a truly secure connection.
Now, Brian, with Mouse Mechanic, I know you handle a ton of website repairs, and you've seen a couple of these come and go. What have you noticed that's pretty common, or something that you can touch on?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is getting the website owner to realize that when you go into your site and you want to add a blog post or something like that, or you want to link to your site in a certain way, it's just making the change to realize you've got to put the HTTPS versus the old way of doing things. And most people are just so used to, copy and pasting a gross block from one page to another, and they don't realize that they can actually cause an issue with that. So I would say that's from a common user standpoint. That's just a very common error. And also, as you probably saw in that list when you look through some of those files, you'd be amazed how many links there are, whether it's especially with images, because sometimes you can have a 1 pixel spacer image that you don't realize is a URL. So it's really the simple things that can kind of jam me up sometimes.
Okay, there you go. We're moving on to the last slide and closing this little hangout out. So how does one get an SSL certificate? I personally think it's never been easier. Most hosting companies, GoDaddy, WP Engine, have a one-click solution. Guys, would you agree on that?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for example, WPEngine.com, that's what we use for hosting. It literally takes about 5 minutes. Costs about $50 a year, so it's well worth it. And the consensus in the SEO community is that it may not impact your rankings majorly now, but most feel it will later. And Ryan kind of touched on trust flow, which is a really important thing in SEO. With what's going on right now with the mobile response update, if you're planning to redo your website, you might as well just do this. Would you guys all agree on that?
Yep.
Yeah, I would, but let me just actually make one point to kind of clarify
Sure.
why he may be seeing a little bit more effect than you are, because just knowing you, Matt, and knowing how you tend to do your marketing, where Ryan may be more actively building, the links out to the site. If you hear what he said, is that when he started making those links with the HTTPS, so if he gets a link from maybe friends who's got a website in a common industry, or from a college where they got certified, to make sure that link is an HTTPS link versus just an HTTP link, can go a long way to where he started seeing his trust factor increase.
So as more sites actually upgrade to this, it'll just be a standard practice rather than actually making sure that you're doing proper linking procedures with the HTTPS is kind of what you're saying, I think.
Well, I would argue more to the point that when you look at your citation sites, whether it's a Yelp backlink or all the other links that are out there that businesses naturally get, make sure that you're changing them to an HTTPS, and that's where you're going to see a big impact.
Exactly.
Awesome.
That's what I was saying.
Ryan, that's a good point. Brian, that's a great point, and I think that we'll end that with on a good note. And guys, any last comments on, or any information you guys might want to share, or any updates in the marketing industry?
Nothing in particular.
Brian?
No, thanks for having us.
I think we're all getting ready for the mobile update coming next week, so that'll probably be a big topic, and we'll most likely have another weekly hangout. So guys, everybody, thanks for attending this week. We appreciate Ryan, Brian, and we'll hope to see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Talk to you later, Mike.
All right, guys, thank you.
Bye.
Right. Good job, guys.
We're still live.
Let's take a look.